Welcome back to Vinny Politan Investigates. I'm Julia Janae, filling in for Vinny. We're continuing our investigation into the assassination of health insurance CEO Brian Thompson, the ensuing debate about the healthcare industry, and the support that has been an outpouring for Luigi Mangione, the man accused with this murder. Here's the story. It's a brazen shooting caught on video. It was a meticulously planned and targeted attack outside of a Manhattan hotel late last year. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was a father of two and husband, and his murder sent shockwaves around the country. Law enforcement tracked down and arrested a suspect, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione, who came from a wealthy family. He claims he wasn't the shooter, and he has not been afraid to make a lot of statements critical of the healthcare insurance industry. On shell casings found at the scene, investigators found the words deny, defend, and depose. Controversial tactics many allege insurance companies use to reject their patients' claims. There's been a large amount of public support for Mangione and opposition to health insurance companies. It's a movement that is centered around a man supporters believe is a vigilante, a man they hope can avoid the death penalty. Now, Mangione, according to his defense, denies being the shooter. But everything that we're seeing inside of the courtroom, including the plea of not guilty, it seems that the defense wants to march towards a trial and claim that their client is not guilty of this. But he reportedly left a manifesto. Journalist Ken Klippenstein posted what he claimed to be the full transcript of Luigi Mangione's manifesto to his website. Newsweek was able to verify a copy and said that it's a legitimate transcription from law enforcement authorities. CourtTV has not been able to independently confirm that authenticity. But take a listen to one of our producers reading Mangione's writings.
To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No. The reality is, these have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed. For example, Rosenthal, Moore, decades ago. The problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty.
What does it all mean, and will this be the first exhibit the prosecution shows this jury if this goes to a trial? That leads us to the next question in this investigation. And that's, what will Luigi Mangione's defense be? Let's bring back in our guest to help us answer this question. We have attorney Ali Benevento with us, and also joining us, former New York police officer and retired police lieutenant and commanding officer of the Nassau County Police K-9 Unit, Mike Gould, is with us. Thank you both for being on. Ali, I want to start with you, and I want to couch it. What have we heard so far on the record from Luigi's team? He's represented by the Agnifilo firm, Karen Agnifilo, the main attorney representing him. Have they given any hints to what their defense will be?
Not much, but I can't imagine that it's anything other than one of two things. It's either the Shaggy defense, it wasn't me, or they're going to argue that, yes, it was him and give some sort of justification for it. But, at the end of the day, we haven't heard a whole lot. We've seen some things that have been provided to media and leaked online or spoken about by law enforcement and prosecutors. But at the end of the day, there are still motions pending in this case. Even the excerpt that we saw there a few moments ago is the subject of an outstanding motion a motion in limine to exclude evidence in the Pennsylvania matter. So I think that a lot of the decisions about what the defense will be may turn on the orders that the courts give in some of these outstanding motions as it relates to evidence that may or may not be admissible in court.
And it gets more complicated when we have these multiple cases, 3 cases that he's facing, 1 in Pennsylvania, 2 in New York City. Mike, I got to ask you, as a former New York police officer, what are the sentiments towards this defendant and perhaps even the way the public has responded to this individual?
Well, to be honest with you, I have no love for Luigi Mangione, but I do have respect for equal justice for all. And I can cite homicide after homicide after homicide where the crimes are more egregious. There's gun violence tonight. There'll be multiple murders in the outer boroughs of New York City, and you won't even know about it. We might hear about it on the 10 o'clock news. I think this was grossly overcharged. Political and media attention should not be what you decide to seek the death penalty for. So I think this was like, I've never seen anything like it. This was like epic Hollywood production, a bad one that I've never seen before with the mayor. It was incredible. And I thought that day one when he got off the helicopter in Manhattan. And so I think it's grossly overcharged. Unless he has a twin brother, I don't see his defense. If this is literally a smoking gun, the evidence, the manifesto, the gun was found on him, I don't see where this is going unless evidence is completely suppressed.
There's a lot there. And you mentioned the publicity in this case, the way that it looks, the optics. His attorney hasn't said a lot in front of the media. She said a lot through her filings. But here's a listen to a press conference that she did give, Karen Agnifilo, after one of the hearings in this case about that subject.
Luigi's right to a fair trial is being infringed upon because he is being publicly treated as guilty and as having the presumption of guilt as opposed to the presumption of innocence, which is what he is entitled to. And although of course, I understand the NYPD's need for a press conference before an arrest or after an arrest, which they did here. I didn't like it, but they did it, and I understood it. What I did not understand was how shocking it was that this week on HBO, in a documentary, I see the chief of detectives and the New York City mayor, full hair and makeup done, sitting down and giving an interview for television and talking about the evidence in Luigi's case, talking about police paperwork that we don't have, talking about forensics that we have not yet received. I guess we have now today, but I didn't when I was sitting there learning about the case, hearing an actor play Luigi reading from a journal that they say is Luigi's, and we have yet to receive it from the prosecution. And so it's outrageous that they have time to go and prejudice Mr. Mangione's ability to receive a fair trial and go out and make these statements, but not give this to us. And so we are concerned because if the chief of detectives is telling everybody about all this evidence, and what if it ultimately gets suppressed because it was an illegal search and seizure in Altoona, Pennsylvania, how is he going to get a fair trial?
Mike, I want to go back to you since we have you, because we're seeing as she's talking those images that we've added of the different perp walks. Is that standard to you? What do you think goes into this individual being given the treatment that we've seen here?
Politics. The Manhattan District Attorney is notorious for overcharging, undercharging, or not charging. So this is a case where everybody, the police department, the police brass, they want to get in front of the television cameras. You won't see the chief of detective. As I said, a homicide is going to take place tonight. A premeditated, intentional homicide, sadly, is going to happen in one of the 5 boroughs tonight. You're not going to know about it. So this was a media spectacle. I do agree with the defense attorney. However, they're still not identifying what their defense actually is. They have a big road to climb, getting rid of what he was found with. If that's suppressed, I still think that there's so much evidence that would have to be suppressed not to find him guilty of a second-degree murder, intentional premeditated murder.
Allie, if they're going the route of just arguing about the fair trial not being able to be achieved, what's the likelihood? Where would you go if not New York? Where do you think he could get a fair trial after there has been so much publicity?
I mean, isn't that kind of the point? There's been so much publicity that everyone everywhere, way outside of New York, has seen it, is talking about it. It's all over social media. It's all over the world. And so to her point, I agree. She's exactly right. They have created this problem, and they have continued to do it. They as recently as this week, and I'm not sure, we haven't gotten into this, but the judge in the federal case issued an order today instructing the DOJ and others to stop talking about this case in the media and to stop going on TV, because every time that they release information or talk about evidence and make statements about this case and make assumptions about Mr. Mangione, they are further creating difficulty with jury selection and the ability to have a fair trial. They're making it worse.
Allie Benevento and Mike Gould, thanks so much for being with us, because on that note, when we come back, we're going to talk about the public reaction to Luigi Mangione.
Luigi single-handedly brought us together and united us in the U.S. And I hope he understands that.